Good afternoon, everyone. Our resource person for today has joined. Today, we have amongst us Dr. Pratisha Padmasri Deka, ma'am. She has currently been working as assistant professor at the Department of Education, Cotton University. She has served at these institutions. She has served as assistant professor at the Department of Education of Assam Dharma University, then at the Department of Education of Pandu College up to February 2020. And she has also been a faculty of Montessori teacher training course under the Department of Education, Cotton College. And her research area includes educational psychology, guidance and counseling, educational issues and prospects, environmental education, and educational sociology. She has also completed in-house research project on development of metacognition based model of teaching for inclusive education at higher education level and attainment of holistic development goal with special reference to undergraduate level students of Kamrup Metro. I welcome you, ma'am, to our today's session, and you can start the session.
So I think the screen is visible to everyone. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, the screen is visible.
Okay. So
Yes, ma'am.
okay. So very good afternoon. The topic that I'm going to talk about is the theoretical and pedagogical approaches in IKS integration. And nowadays, the IKS or Indian Point System has become a topic of an important discourse because of its relevance that is felt after the implementations of NEP 2020. To introduce, we must consider the historical context in the development of IKS, which is intricately embedded in the intellectual, spiritual, and philosophical traditions of Indian subcontinent, reflecting a continuous evolution of thought practice over thousands of years. We know it is rooted in the philosophy of Darshana, linguistic or Vyakarana, mathematics or Ganita, astronomy, Jyotisha, and Ayurveda, and nowadays the modern medicine, which is very much influenced by Ayurveda. To fully appreciate the development of IKS, it is essential to examine its progression through major historical approaches, beginning with the Vedic period, then the colonial era, and then to the modern era. But as the topic of my discourse is the relevance of theoretical and pedagogical approaches, I won't take much time in discussing the historical context. Rather, I would like to mention about a few important aspects of its importance in modern education. So the importance of IKS to promote a holistic learning, interdisciplinary understanding, and a cultural rootedness. In the context of India's contemporary educational reform that has been brought about the NEP 2020, IKS offers a philosophical foundation and a practical tool for ethical inquiry and innovation. And modern education can become more contextual and inclusive, along with developing reflective capacities, empowering students with both local wisdom and global competence. There are varied types of principles in IKS, and I'm not going to mention all of the principles, but yes, those who are relevant for knowing or understanding the theoretical and implementation aspect of IKS. I'd like to highlight the importance of the core philosophies or values and epistemologies that has helped IKS to grow. We know it is considering holism or interrelation among different disciplines like material, spiritual, individual, and collective dimensions, and how context-specific these knowledges are, and how it serves the local environments, languages, and social structures. In other way, we can say it is reciprocate. That means IKS is giving the modern education system something, and we are again reciprocating the knowledge by teaching and giving it back to the new generation. It fosters obviously the resilience and adaptive learning and innovations. And before going to the theoretical notions, as we most of the learners that have joined today's session, they are, I believe, from education background. They must consider the role of IKS in education because our discipline greatly demands or has incorporated different aspects of IKS. For example, the concept of basic education, value education, all are rooted in IKS only. So the role of IKS in education, um, if we discuss that, I would like to mention about its relevance to cultural identity, as they embody unique traditions, values, and languages. It integrates educational frameworks not only that helps to protect the rich heritage but also fosters respect for diverse perspective. It allows the learning experiences to make more significant and related to life. And therefore, it is a kind of road that helps to integrate cultural identity with modern needs. Another aspect is if we try to mention, that is how it is relevant to the sustainable development. We all know that SDGs are now so much concerned. People are always concerned about the sustainable development goals, and IKS is also contributing in sustainable development goals. How, if we try to see that, it plays a vital role in sustainable development because it emphasizes on greater connection between the human and environment. It tries to develop the ecological awareness. It also tries to preserve the biodiversity in the different senses. And it strengthens community resilience by fostering collective responsibility. So we can say when we see the role of IKS in education, it always supports sustainable practices, and that is why the Indian knowledge is surviving because it has the power of resilience. It is surviving it is by protecting the nature as it is, and definitely IKS has a role to play in contribution or to contribute in sustainable development. If we go now to the theoretical frameworks, that is the main concern of today's discussion. There are many theories that can be related with the framework of IKS. And before going to the discussion of the strategies for IKS implementation, these theories must be considered. I have already mentioned, as I am from the education background, the theories that I relate closely with IKS is constructivism. And today in our discourse, I would like to highlight how constructivism and IKS are interrelated. If we see the theoretical frameworks for integrating IKS, mention may be made of the theory of constructivism, as it suggests how actively knowledge can be constructed rather than passively absorbed. And according to this theory, active engagement, collaboration with peers also plays a crucial role. Now, if we try to see the IKS or Indian knowledge system, it is not an add-on, it is already going on and it is a part of our day-to-day activity. And therefore, the student, if they are constructivist learners, they can take the idea of integrating the local knowledge in their day-to-day activity and educational practices in different practices, and that way they can construct new knowledge based on the old knowledge already existing. And that will definitely lead to a deeper comprehension and a more meaningful, long-lasting learning experiences that will be different from the one we are having on the basis of the theories on the books or only the books without practical connotations. And this theory, if we apply in the context of IKS, it becomes a powerful framework for engaging learners in meaningful context-based learning. This approach encourages collaboration, especially with the local elders and the knowledge holders, and nurtures the respect for local cultures and environments. Furthermore, the constructivist learning allows for integration of traditional wisdom with contemporary knowledge, and it bridges the gap between the ancestral practices and modern day challenges, which is giving a holistic understanding of knowledge. It is in the same line we can mention the idea of Whitehead, the psychologist, who mentioned about the wholeness of knowledge. The learner will not only acquire the information but also develop cultural sensitivity, critical thinking, and apply the knowledge in real world that is also relevant to their local need and also for their that what catering the curiosity of mind or meeting the curiosity of the mind. And this theory can be seen as very much important, and it has an implications for learner-centered approaches because in the context of IKS, it aligns naturally with the learner-centered paradigm, which values the individual agency, the lived experiences of the learner, and the cultural identity of them, which is the basic of their own learning, and on the basis of which they can build the further knowledge. So yes, constructivism plays a role in shaping the ideas or making IKS more relevant to our day-to-day life. Another connotation or another meaning that I would like to associate with IKS is the critical pedagogy. Even though we know critical pedagogy has a root in social sciences or social different theories, it has a kind of relationship with the IKS because it views education as a tool for social justice, liberation, and transformation. It is a way of challenging the traditional power dynamics within the system of education as it gives importance on the critical reflection and participatory engagement. And the central aim is to amplify the marginalized voice, recognizing the lived experiences of oppressed communities and validating their knowledge systems. Through this process, learners are inspired to question dominant ideologies, uncover the structural inequalities, and work toward a social change by creating an environment or classroom environment based on mutual respect or shared authority. This pedagogy empowers students to critically analyze their realities and take meaningful action, and thus it is a way of making the transformative learning experiences more meaningful. The pedagogy also emphasizes on equity and social justice in education, which sometimes may be relevant to IKS because calling on educators to critically examine those knowledge is valued and those or means the people we try to see in different pedagogies, a particular group of persons' voice are always dominating than the other group of people. And this particular pedagogy always tries to see whose voices are heard in a particular pedagogy. And in this context, IKS becomes a powerful means of challenging dominant narratives that have historically marginalized the indigenous perspectives. And that way we see in different areas the Western methodologies are taking place of Indian methodologies in many contexts. And surprisingly, the Western world is more concerned about the value of IKS. They're incorporating the Indian value system in their education. So, yes, the engagement of learners for social justice through critical consciousness, encouraging students to reflect on issues of power, identity, historical injustice, can empower them to recognize and resist systematic inequalities. And that way, it can very much be related with the critical pedagogy. If we see the concepts of transformative learning experiences also, the same thing is perceived. So, critical pedagogy is more than the social construct.
Uh, I think ma'am has lost her connection. So let's wait. She is trying to connect from her place. Let's wait for her.
Sorry for interruption. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I think you have we finished till the meeting was like ended before time or network disturbance occurred. I think you heard till the critical pedagogy or theoretical aspect of IKS implementation. Should we continue from here?
Yes, ma'am. You can continue.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So, yeah, I was stating about the place of critical pedagogy in relation to IKS, how it is helping or can be related integration of IKS in day-to-day life of a student. So the IKS pedagogy, or the critical analysis or of this particular theory emphasizes on role of education in promoting social justice, and this pedagogy deeply supports social justice and liberation for transformation also. And it is a way of not only social justice, but a way to represent the voice of the ones whose voices are not heard in natural or normal situations. So, critical pedagogy or critical theory mainly tries to see the place or importance of IKS in different learning scenarios. And it is a way of transformative learning experiences. Why? Because the transformative learning experiences, as envisioned in critical pedagogy, ensures learners to critically reflect their beliefs, assumptions, and worldviews. And I can just state one example of a classroom where a student is trying to learn about local indigenous ecological knowledge, for example, water conservation through a traditional way, and how he is trying to compare it with the scientific models. That way, the dialogue between the indigenous knowledge and the modern knowledge may help him to see what is the gap and how it can be incorporated in the modern pedagogy. Obviously, it will lead to a kind of respect and empathy and social responsibility. So, critical pedagogy as a theory helps in IKS integration in teaching learning situation. Then, if we discuss the pedagogical strategies, there are different pedagogical strategies that we find in our day to day life. Development of faculty, development of different courses, maybe, or maybe different kind of practices. For example, the course started by Henry Girls College for IKS integration into curriculum and other aspects, and that they are also ways of integrating IKS into the teaching learning process. Like that, in school setup and higher educational setup, culturally relevant practices can be or can take place in different ways. And that way, collaborative learning environments that should be created by fostering joint inquiry, where people can come together and discuss the common issues and have a cultural exchange. It will obviously devise a multiple viewpoint, including those rooted in indigenous traditions. And with that, if we see the interdisciplinary approaches, we all know this kind of approaches are nowadays or from very beginning it is used in environmental sciences. The multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary approaches is a common approach which can also be used for IKS integration into the curriculum. And for this, different cultural context must be considered. The problem solving, for example, problem solving or critical thinking as area of mental development can be considered if we provide interdisciplinary approaches or we use it for IKS integration. Like that, we have seen already in different kind of environmental issues like climate change. We combine science studying ecosystems, social sciences for exploring the impact of environmental policies, and with that we can also combine the IKS or Indian knowledge system, that is how by learning from traditional ecological practices such as rotating farming or weather predictions, how these are helping in knowing the weather conditions and climate change. So this interdisciplinary approach not only will deepen the knowledge but also will nurture a sense of indigenous worldviews and their contribution to contemporary global challenges. If we see how we can use it, or how we utilize the larger community resources for IKS integration, it is very clear that IKS integration, if we do among ourselves, for example, in today's session, or maybe the sessions, or maybe the universities, the curriculum planners are mostly the academicians, but rarely someone from the community are taken into consideration, or their viewpoints have been taken when incorporating IKS in the curriculum system. In that situation, the role of elders and knowledge holders becomes very important, because they are the people who are the holders, or who are, we can say, the primary source of IKS knowledge. They play a very vital role in integrating the IKS systems by transmitting traditional practices, cultural values, and oral histories. They also can give a spiritual insight that have been preserved across generations. And their participation will bring authenticity and depth to the learning experiences. By engaging directly the learners, elders can bridge the gap between traditional wisdom and the contemporary education. And when we will feel their presence in classroom or community-based learning initiatives, it will always strengthen community engagement and a sense of belongingness to that particular group. Again, it will help us to actively lead the IKS, not only study. So, two more strategies can be of use in this regard. I can mention here about the building relationship with the local communities, and different case studies for successful integration of IKS into different educational levels. Building relationship with local communities significantly enhances the integration of indigenous knowledge system by providing collaboration, sharing resources, and promoting cultural relevance within the education. By fostering this, or including the elders and artisans and local practitioners, the educational process and learning becomes more authentic and participatory. Such partnerships support diverse perspectives. With that, if we think to incorporate the case studies and how people are using IKS, or different universities are implementing IKS, that can also be very helpful to develop strategies by different universities and institutions. We have seen that the case studies have highlighted successful AKS integration through initiatives like mentoring programs, community-based projects, and co-creation of culturally responsible curricula. These strategies not only enhance student engagement but academic relevance, and also can elevate the indigenous knowledge. These community partnerships can promote sustainable practices and help cultivate a deeper and more holistic understanding. Incorporation of few such case studies, how IKS has benefited local, regional, and global community, can lead to more motivation and success in incorporation of Indian knowledge systems in the curriculum. But there are challenges, and maybe therefore we are not efficient way. First concept,
Ma'am, your
system
mic is
often
on
impress
mute.
communities and knowledge holders. These barriers are frequently theoretical stereotypical belief. It is not like found from different studies, but yes, it exists in different social circumstances. As a result, the indigenous perspective are often oversimplified and romanticized or excluded from mainstream education and
Ma'am,
policy frameworks.
ma'am,
Yes.
I'm sorry to disturb you, ma'am, but the conceptual barriers, your voice was breaking. It wasn't very clear. Can you please repeat it once?
So is it not clear now?
fine now, but we lost your voice for a good 30 seconds in the middle.
Okay. So can I continue from where I have left?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, okay. If you have any doubt, we can address that after the session is over. Is it fine?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So regarding conceptual barriers, I have mentioned about misunderstanding of IKS because have seen in when the advent of Britishers happened in India, they tried to destroy different educational institutions, and that way they because they some way felt that Western knowledge is superior to the Indian knowledge system. So that kind of thinking is sometimes present in minds of different people, and that has to be changed. Regarding resistance to cultural inclusive practices, resistance to culturally inclusive practices often emerges from different beliefs and systematic biases and lack of awareness regarding significance and validity of Indian knowledge system. And we have seen, for example, in many mainstream science curricula, traditional ecological knowledge such as indigenous water management or forest conservation method is rarely acknowledged, despite its relevance to modern sustainability challenges. This omission not only reinforces the false binary between indigenous and scientific knowledge, but also deprives students of locally grounded and time tested practices. Another example is seen in the science education programs, where the lack of training in culturally responsive pedagogy results in educators feeling ill equipped or unwilling to include Indian knowledge system in their classroom. Consequently, the students who are from different indigenous backgrounds may experience cultural disconnect and alienation, while non indigenous students miss out the opportunity to develop intercultural competence and critical thinking skills. Overcoming this resistance demands systematic reform along with the policy measures and meaningful engagement with indigenous communities as co creators of knowledge. Then I would like to highlight two aspects related to the problems of structural challenges. These challenges are often embedded in the design, content, and delivery of education. The current system tends to prioritize standardized curricula, compartmentalized subject matter, and measurable outcomes approaches that often marginalize holistic, experimental, and other type of reality-based knowledge system. Firstly, the curriculum favors often is lacking the flexibility because if we see the national and state level school boards, they rarely include the region specific indigenous knowledge like the tribal agricultural practices, and one example I have already mentioned. And The schools can easily incorporate, or the boards can incorporate in their revised editions of textbooks, but still now it is a way like far to incorporate the same. And secondly, we see that the teacher education training programs do not adequately prepare the teachers or the educators to teach or engage in IKS implementation. Most teachers are trained within a framework that emphasize Western pedagogical models and a little exposure to indigenous worldviews. And training is very important in that sense to transfer or transact a curriculum that is already devised. Maybe a science teacher struggle to integrate traditional ecological knowledge such as weather forecasting techniques or other type of techniques if he is not trained how to incorporate the same as a part of hidden curriculum if it is not directly mentioned in the curricular situation or curriculum. These structural limitations not only impede the inclusion of indigenous perspectives but also reinforce marginalization of Indian knowledge system as something peripheral or optional rather than foundational or valuable. Secondly, the need of policy and institutional support. The critical structural barrier to integration of Indian knowledge system in education is the lack of sustained policy and institutional support. While policies may acknowledge the importance of IKS in principle, they often fall short in implementation, lacking clear guidelines and other things which are required for proper implementation, and dedicated resources and institutional commitment. We can take example of the India's the National Education Policy 2020. It has given importance on Indian knowledge system, but often do not provide operational clarity on how to integrate this into the existing curricula, how to involve indigenous communities for co-production of knowledge, and how to concentrate on mechanism for curricular development or textbook revision and teacher training, assessment reforms, etc. A relevant case in this particular aspect we can mention here that in most of the colleges and universities we see they have and we also have the formal curricula that is standardized with no formal models on local indigenous knowledge. While community elders may be rich repositories of such knowledge on forest conservation, local or herbal medicine or oral literature, there is no institutional mechanism to involve them in teaching process or curricular planning. And if we try to invite them, some exceptions are there, like Jadok Pine, we already know in Assam. But if we try to include some person as resource person for IKS implementation strategy, people will definitely ask for their designation. So that kind of problem may arise, or that has to be addressed. And it is not like the IKS or Indian knowledge system. Apart from the problems, many universities and colleges are doing a great job by incorporating it very efficiently. Few examples I would like to state on that. That shows that successful implementation of or strategies can be devised for uh, implementing the Indian knowledge system into different levels of education. For example, if we see successful model for integrated Indian knowledge system into higher education, it lies in collaborative curriculum framework where indigenous scholars, elders, and community holders actively co-designs courses along with academic faculty. This model may ensure that IKS is not merely inserted as supplemental content, but also is authentically embedded in the structure, pedagogy, and outcomes of the academic program. This collaborative approach not only validates indigenous epistemologies with the formal academia, but also will empower the indigenous students with their affirmation with cultural connotations. And few examples we can mention here how they're doing this, how different universities are doing it. At the University of British Columbia, the Indigenous Studies program is co-developed with local First Nations communities. Courses such as land law resistance and indigenous environmental knowledge are designed with input from indigenous scholars and elders. These courses integrate oral tradition, storytelling, and indigenous ecological practices with the academic theories of law and environmental studies. Not only in foreign university or other cases, we can also state the example of how these or Tata Institute of Social Science have pilot initiatives like Center for Lifelong Learning, which works closely with the tribal communities in the states like Maharashtra and Jharkhand to develop diploma and certificate programs rooted in indigenous knowledge. And they cover themes like tribal governance, medicinal plants, and oral histories. So they're taking one particular aspect of IKS and extensively studying the same and contributing in local and regional level. And yes, also setting example for us. And this initiatives also serves as blueprint for policy implementation, aligning with the broader goals of inclusive education, cultural preservation, and local or a different kind of development of democratic ideas, like how cooperatively and tolerantly we can incorporate the other community or ideas of other community into the knowledge system. Compelling example of IKS integration at the kindergarten to 12th grade level, it involves a blended curriculum that combines standard academic content with culturally relevant project-based learning. In this model, students can work on the interdisciplinary projects that are grounded in local indigenous knowledge. And like that, different courses have already been developed. For example, I would like to mention about rural Maharashtra, some Jilla Parishad schools, the Panchayat level management. So they have introduced place-based projects on traditional water conservation techniques such as fur and johaz, that is the ancient irrigational systems. Students interview village elders, document the techniques, and compare them with the modern engineering approaches. They then present the findings, models, and reports, and they also do digital storytelling. So it is a best one of the examples of how we can integrate IKS in different levels of education. Similarly, in British Cambodia, the Honoring Our Ways of the initiative that incorporate indigenous teams in project-based learning in elementary and secondary schools. And here, a class may study seasonal cycles by exploring First Nations lunar calendars, learning how indigenous communities traditionally track ecological patterns for planting, harvesting, and hunting. Through article nature journalism and science course, they again are trying to repeat the system of IKS with the modern education system. Such models demonstrate how that blended and project-based learning can help in effective implementation IKS. Now, towards if we see how what I have learned and I would like to share when I was preparing for the presentation, the takeaways that I gathered from the learning that I would like to present before the audience. The best practices, there is no kind of golden practice or golden way to implement IKS, but these sessions or this particular takeaways can help someone or some organizations definitely to strategize how to implement the Indian knowledge system into curriculum or ways of teaching. Successful integration of IKS into education framework is built upon foundation of best practices that emphasize inclusivity, relevance, and respect for cultural heritage. These practices not only enrich academic content but also support the broader goals of community empowerment, sustainability, and intercultural understanding. Few strategies I can give example. For example, in fostering or for fostering the community engagement in Arunachal Pradesh, local school closely work with the tribal elders to teach students about traditional ecological calendars, and they use it to predict monsoons, crop cycles, and festivals. Students engage in oral history sessions and community interviews, strengthening generational bounds, generational different kind of interchange of ideas, and they with that also maintain the cultural identity. Another example can be the Elders in Residence program in Canadian First Nation schools, where Indigenous elders into classrooms are invited weekly to share traditional stories. I think that can also be incorporated in our educational institutions. For utilizing the local knowledge systems like that, we can state importance or we can mention about the example of Jharkhand, where educators integrate traditional Santhal and agricultural practices and forest conservation techniques into science and environmental studies curricula. This has helped students to understand sustainability through their own community's practices. The same way we can do with the tea cultivation practices and other kind of practices that goes in the respective areas, making it more relevant for the students. And for promoting the interdisciplinary collaboration in Meghalaya, the traditional Khasi musical instruments and folk music are also used in art and physics in classes to explore acoustic, craftsmanship, and storytelling traditions, enhancing the scientific and understanding through cultural arts. It is also useful for establishing continuous feedback loops, and we can do so. Many people are using it as best practice. For example, in one of the institutions in New Zealand, they are doing They are trying to incorporate programs like family engagement cycles, where parents, elders, educators jointly reflect on student learning outcomes and cultural alignment, adjusting strategies accordingly. They will come together, discuss whether the school has been incorporating the knowledge system of their community, not Indian, of their community in the education system, how relevant it is for the life of the students, and if there is a gap, they will modify the system. So, regular adaptation for diverse learning is one of the areas we can work on. And these case studies from various education strategies also reveal that effectively adapting indigenous knowledge system to diverse learning environments significantly enhances inclusivity and also the learner engagement. Uh, like that, to adapt or for adaptation of the knowledge, sorry, the adaptation for diverse learning environments, we have seen how it can we can use different ICAS knowledge in different learning strategies. That includes integrating the local cultural context, employing collaborative pedagogies, and utilizing the experiential learning, which enhance engagement and respect for different worldviews. And with that, we can say that field visit, traditional practices, land based learning can also play a role in this regard. And here I'd like to mention about one example of Alaska Native Knowledge Network, where students participate in sessional subsistence activities like fishing or berry packing or carving or combining traditional ecological knowledge with math science classes like measurement, biology, and weather patterns. I think we all know about Mahatma Gandhi's basic education scheme, where Gandhiji used local craft the same way Alaska Native Knowledge Network has done. He used craft centered education to give knowledge about maths, like numbers, how then the movement science, that is also part of science. So people have tried it, and many leaders are working on this direction. We can work together to achieve the goal of IKS integration in day-to-day life of the learner. If we see what can be the future directions, because I am towards the end of the presentation. So the future directions are not like pre-decided. These are some areas of future study people can see, and the academicians can go through it. What are the areas still we can we are in the way of exploring and are to be explored in future days, like identifying the teaching methods that are responsive to both indigenous epistemologies and the mainstream educational paradigms. Additionally, we can also see how essential is to examine the cultural context, the assimilation and application of IKS within the formal education. And yes, lastly, the collaborative research uh, definitely can go or help in different way by focusing on building equitable and sustained partnership between diverse educational institutions and indigenous communities. By co-creating curricula, sharing resources, and indigenous knowledge holders can enrich both theoretical frameworks and different kind of strategies in the pedagogical context, leading to more meaningful and culturally really relevant, I guess, integration into formal structure. The University of Victoria in Canada and the Songhe's First Nation has led development of community-based courses. And we see in our different social studies, we have a scope to incorporate the same. The collaborative projects will definitely help us to enhance academic understanding, and also it will support the cultural revitalization and intergenerational knowledge transformation between the communities. And such initiatives definitely will help us to co-design educational programs, bridging the gap between the IKS and the modern learning system. To conclude, I would like to mention the summary of the key points that I would like to highlight. Already, we discussed about the importance of IKS integration, and all of us know that is why we are discussing, or maybe the participants are like engaging in these sessions. And yes, this is a particular way of nowadays, now in present situation, to enrich the engagement of student and making learning more related to their life. And it will help, uh, on this approach will help that to make the student more responsible for their learning, because when their community will be engaged, their learning will be engaged, obviously they will be intrinsically motivated. In this aspect, the role of educators or all of us is very much prominent, because they play a pivotal role in integrating the Indian knowledge system in the curriculum. By acting as facilitators of inclusive and culturally responsive learning, their ability to recognize and respect these beliefs helps them to plan the lesson not academically but with culturally meaningful way. And we can also mention, in the parts of Northeast, the educators can collaborate with local communities to teach environmental science through indigenous agricultural practices like Jhum cultivation. By integrating traditional farming knowledge with modern ecological concepts, students gain a deeper and contextually grounded understanding of sustainability. Such approaches not only will enrich educational experiences but also help preserve and revitalize the indigenous cultural context. Uh, so, finally, thank you for your patient listening. And now the house is open for discussion. Am I audible?
Yes, thank you, ma'am. It was a informative session. Thank you for enlightening our learners. If anyone have any question or doubt, they can ask.
If any interaction is to be made, I think no questions.
I think there is no question. We have got some feedback. Some participants have written. Thank you, ma'am. Wonderful session. We are winding up today here. Thank you, ma'am, for being with us today. Thank you. And for the participants, the attendance link has been shared and you have to submit it. So do submit.